UFC Vegas 17 will be headlined by one of the most interesting welterweight matchups of 2020. UFC vet Leon Edwards will welcome surging prospect Khamzat Chimaev to the ranks of the elite. After going 3-0 in the UFC and a modern-day record of just 66 days, Chimaev has taken the MMA world by storm. On July 15th, Chimaev entered the UFC with a bout against John Phillips, and to say that this fight was one-sided is an understatement. Chimaev outstruck Phillips 124-2 and mercifully submitted him with a Bravo choke early in the second round. Just 10 days later, Chimaev destroyed Rhys McKee with a knockout, outstriking McKee 68-0. Finally, when the world thought the UFC had given Chimaev a true test in Gerald Meerschaert, he once again proved us all incorrect. Chimaev obliterated Meerschaert in just 17 seconds in full one-punch man form. On the other side, we have Leon "Rocky" Edwards. Ranked number 3 in the world at the time of this video, the past year has not been kind to Leon. Due to the travel restrictions, his title eliminator bout against Woodley was cancelled and subsequently given to Gilbert Burns. Since that time, Leon has not been able to get a fight and was subsequently cut from the UFC's rankings. That is, until he took a fight against Khamzat Chimaev. 8-0 in the UFC since 2015, Leon is on an impressive run with wins over RDA, Cerrone, and Gunnar Nelson. Edwards has one of the best gas tanks in the welterweight division, having gone the distance in 9 out of his 12 fights. His fight against Chimaev will prove to be one of his toughest challenges to date, and a win will basically guarantee Rocky a shot at the welterweight strap. Now, let's take a look at the tail of the tape. Both fighters have similar stature as they stand at 6'2". Chimaev has a reach of 75 inches, while Edwards is 1 inch smaller at 74 inches. Chimaev sports an incredible 100% finish rate through 9 wins, while Leon sports a 50% finish rate through 18 wins. First, let's take a look at both fighters and their striking game. Leon Edwards comes into this fight as the more experienced and seasoned vet. His stand-up game is one of the more complete and refined in the entirety of the division, as his techniques do not just target one area. Rocky has been able to garner a 10-2 UFC record, largely in part to his full-body attacks. One of Leon's most utilized tools is a deceptively quick roundhouse kick. Whether he uses the kick to maintain distance and octagon control, land damaging body kicks, or just to flat out decimate his opponent, the left roundhouse is one of Rocky's most effective tools. Leon does most of his fighting while staying at range and likes to pick apart his opponents with combos rather than a powerful one-hitter. A great example of this is his fight against Vicente Luque. While pressuring Luque up against the cage, Leon stays at arm's length and slowly picks him apart with quick 1-2 combos. These may not be as powerful as some of the other heavy hitters in the welterweight division, but constant combos accumulate damage throughout the fight and wear fighters down, which is why we see Edwards with more decision wins than finishes. The same cannot be said about Chimaev. From his debut in MMA to his most recent fight against Gerald Meerschaert, Khamzat has shown the otherworldly power he possesses, especially in his right hand. In his Brave CF fight against Marko Kisic, we see this nuclear hand go to work multiple times. Whether it's a straight, hook, or jab, when Chimaev lands that right hand, Kisic goes down. The most devastating example of this is Chimaev's most recent fight against Meerschaert, where he takes Gerald's consciousness with a straight cross down the middle. The stand-up in this fight will be the most crucial point in deciding the victor. Leon is a phenomenal, calculated striker who chooses precision over power, while Khamzat aims to take your head with every punch. If Leon can implement his simplistic yet effective plan of keeping Khamzat at a distance, it bodes well for his chances of winning. Leon has also never been finished in his pro MMA career, so if Chimaev is able to close the distance, Edward has proven that his chin can hold up. But this is much easier said than done against a man with no fear like Chimaev. Whether he's getting tagged up or he's dominating, Chimaev is almost never on his back foot and will continuously move forward. If Chimaev can land just a couple of his devastating right shots, it could be a quick night at the office yet again. It's hard to truly decide who has the advantage here. Chimaev takes the cake with the power, but Leon has the advantage when it comes to experience and precision. Next, let's take a quick look at the clinch work of both of these welterweights. Leon Edwards is a mixed martial artist through and through, and in his clinch work he has showcased some impressive techniques. His most lethal tool in the clinch is his elbow. While in the clinch, Leon will let his opponent dig in one underhook. This ensures that the opponent's arm on the underhook is lower than his arm, exposing the head to a clean shot. Leon will quickly bring his arm up and land a devastating elbow to the temple. Leon has perfected this skill to the point where he needs no time to set it up anymore. He will grab the clinch and within a couple of seconds land the elbow and break. Chimaev works a little bit differently from the clinch. When in the clinch, Khamzat's goal is one thing: take his opponent down. Chimaev will either look to level change and grasp behind his opponent's leg to take them down, or dig in 2 underhooks and body fold or throw his opponents down. He likes to work on the ground, so there are not many striking techniques he likes to use in the clinch. 2 different clinch styles will clash in this welterweight main event. Leon will look to unleash his elbows whenever Chimaev goes for the underhook, but he has to make sure he's quick and breaks as soon as possible, because if he gives Chimaev the time, there's no doubt Khamzat will be able to take Leon to the floor with his wrestling prowess. Finally, let's take a look at the ground game of these two fighters. It's kind of poetic that Khamzat Chimaev is bursting onto the scene just as Khabib Nurmagomedov is retiring from the sport. The similarities with these two fighters on the ground is very apparent and just as mesmerizing. Even though on the feet, Chimaev is an absolute powerhouse, he is just as destructive when it comes to the ground. Whether it's grabbing onto a single leg, grabbing a body lock, or just picking them up like a child and slamming them to the floor, Chimaev will always look for a way to take the fight to the ground. On the mat, Khamzat has every weapon in the book at his disposal. Rather than trying to full mount like many fighters do, Khamzat is able to do a ton of damage from the half mount and side control. Instead of keeping his opponents in the center of the octagon where they have room to move, he likes to drag his opponents up against the cage before unleashing his fury of strikes. This is very effective as Khamzat will be cutting off one side of the body with his own body and the cage will stop his opponents from moving on the other side. Because Khamzat is so overwhelming with his strikes on the ground, fighters have made the mistake of trying to get up too quickly without properly defending a submission. If you try to just stand up against Chimaev, chances are he will capitalize on the mistake with a choke. Leon himself is no slouch when it comes to the ground either. Although not his preferred style of fighting, Leon has showcased top level ground game when he's been required to use it. To get the fight to the ground, Leon likes to clinch his opponents and take them down using inside leg trips or outside leg trips. On the ground, Edwards has top-notch transitions and will be constantly changing his guard to fully utilize his strikes. Whether it's from the mount, half guard, side control, or on your back, Rocky is constantly adding to his strike totals and weathering down his opponents. When his opponents get tired of the pressure, they become vulnerable to submissions, and some of them end up falling victim to exactly that. Although Edwards has gone to the ground with some of the best fighters in the world like Usman and RDA, there's no doubt in our mind that he will try his hardest to keep this fight standing against Chimaev. This main event is truly something special. In the modern UFC era, never have we seen a prospect surge this quickly into the upper echelon of a division. Even Israel Adesanya had to go through 4 middleweights before getting a top 5 fight. Both of these fighters have something to prove. Leon is on an 8-fight win streak in the division, and a win here almost certainly guarantees him a title shot. Chimaev, on the other hand, is new to the scene, and beating the number 3 ranked welterweight in the world will put him into title contention only 6 months after his UFC debut. When it comes to how these two match up, it gets interesting. On one hand, Edwards has the advantage when it comes to experience and technical striking. He's been inside the UFC octagon for an average fight time of over 15 minutes. He's done and seen everything this division has to offer and will be able to utilize this against his upcoming opponent. Chimaev will have the advantage in this matchup when it comes to the power and the wrestling. He's been able to breeze through every man that stood in front of him and has never once looked like he's been in trouble. The thing is, Rocky has never been finished in a fight. If Chimaev wants to continue his unprecedented meteoric rise, he will have to do what 21 men before him couldn't: stop Leon Edwards inside the distance. Either way, this is going to be a long night for one of these warriors. Thanks for watching our video. If you enjoyed, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, don't forget to join our Discord channel. The link will be in the description below.